Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you for tuning in and checking out my latest video. So, I wanted to wish you guys all a happy 2019, and thank you for all the people who are still watching these videos and checking out all of these different fighters that I talk about, things like that. I really appreciate you guys. And let's get more fights in 2019. Let's talk some more boxing. So, in this video, guys, I'm really excited to start off the new year talking about a highly underrated matchup at 168 pounds between Caleb Plant versus Jose Uzacategui. Now, when I look at this matchup at 168 pounds, as stated earlier, it's a very intriguing styles matchup. When we look at this fight, you have Caleb Plant, who is a very slick defensive boxer, he can counterpunch, beautiful footwork, just a magician in the ring. Then you have Jose Uzacategui, who brings a different style into his fights. He's like a bull. He's coming to crush people. He's got vicious power, and he's also very technically sound as well. He's not just a fighter who just walks forward throwing power shots. He's a fighter that is thinking in there. He's also able to counterpunch as well, and he sets opponents up. So he's smarter than he's given credit for as a fighter, in my opinion, when referring to Jose Uzacategui. Now, looking at the styles of this fight, let me first break down Jose and what he brings to the table in this matchup. So Jose, as I was saying earlier, he's a very good pressure fighter, vicious power. In particular, his right hand is a punch that he always hurts his opponents with. I think that's his best power shot, in my opinion. Also, his left hook to the head as well is a good shot, and he likes to double up on that punch as well sometimes when I see him fight. Occasionally uses his jab as well. He's got that high guard defensively. Also, he likes to use left and right hooks to the body. So he's a guy who does a lot of things very well and very underrated at 168 pounds. He hasn't got the fanfare that a lot of other fighters at that weight class has. And that's unfortunate because really he's an excellent fighter to watch. He's entertaining, gives some good interviews, and really the fans get their money's worth when they're watching him fight. Now, moving on to Caleb Plant, guys, and what he brings to the table in this fight. Caleb Plant has excellent head movement, very, very slick. He's a very good counterpuncher. His defense is excellent. You see opponents miss wide all the time. Footwork, his ability to judge distance and range is absolutely incredible. Um, Also, when I look at Caleb Plant, he does a good job of mixing up his shots that he's throwing. Good lateral movement, of course, throughout the ring, and excellent jab. He has a variety of jabs he uses, and that's a really good weapon for Caleb Plant. I would say he's one of the best jabbers in the sport of boxing, in my opinion. The way he constantly utilizes that punch. So, looking at this fight, guys, there's going to be a couple keys, I think, for both of these fighters. Of course, let's start off with some keys for Caleb Plant in this fight. Caleb Plant, in my opinion, has to keep this fight in the center of the ring. Also, he's got to use lateral movement whenever he's on the ropes. And I believe that Caleb Plant is going to have to be heavy on that jab, and he's going to have to also use his versatility that I was talking about earlier to make sure Jose Uzacategui is guessing on what he's going to throw so he doesn't get time for a right hand. Now, when I'm looking at Jose and some of the keys for him in this fight, I think he's got to work the body of Caleb Plant early in this matchup, take away some of the legs and movement that Caleb Plant likes to implement. I also think his jab, he's going to need to use it more than usual because he's going to need to gauge the range and find out where Caleb Plant is because Caleb Plant is very slick defensively and he's not always going to be there for you to hit. So those are some keys I think ultimately in this fight, and I think that Jose also needs to back up Caleb Plant throughout this matchup, and when he has him in the corner, really he's got to throw the kitchen sink at Caleb Plant and try to catch him with his shot. So when I look at some of the advantages, guys, in this matchup, in my opinion, let's first start with some of the advantages that Jose Uzacategui has in this fight. I believe that he's physically the stronger fighter of the two. I also believe that he is a better power puncher, and I also think that he's faced better competition. And I also believe that if the fight does go to the inside, I also favor him in that aspect in this fight. Now, when I look at some of the advantages that Caleb Plant has in this fight, defensively he's better. He also has better footwork. Fundamentally speaking, I think he's a better technical boxer of the two. He has his own style and he puts his hands down, which obviously is a big no-no sometimes in boxing, but it's a style that works for him, and his head movement is also better as well. And Caleb Plant has the better job of the two fighters and is also the better counterpuncher in my opinion and has better hand speed. So when you look at this fight, it's a highly contested matchup because Another thing we're going to be looking for in this fight that's going to be huge for Caleb Plant is everybody's waiting to see because of his inactivity. Will he have the conditioning to go up against a fighter like Jose Uzacategui, who is always constantly pressuring you and doing so smartly with his power? Is Caleb Plant going to be able to move around and box that full 12 rounds of this fight? And that's going to be huge in this matchup. So ultimately, guys, my pick for this fight, well, first of all, let me just say, if I was making the odds for this fight, I would favor Jose Uzacategui. There is more question marks around Caleb Plant, in my opinion, just because of the inactivity and some of the competition he has faced in the past. However, I'm big on Caleb Plant's skills. I really believe in what he brings to the table, and I've been a fan of his style for a while, and I believe in his skill set quite a bit. So I ultimately think, guys, Caleb Plant does enough in this fight to win this matchup by, I would say, a decision, maybe 7-5, 8-4. It's going to be a contested decision, and it's going to be styles of two different fights, I would say. The first half of the fight will be Caleb Plant outboxing, and things will go fine. And then I think later on, that's when Jose Uzacategui will start to score some more points. So ultimately, guys, in my opinion, I got Caleb Plant winning the decision in this fight. And I believe the reason why I'm picking Caleb Plant, I just think that he, with his counterpunching skills, Jose Uzacategui is open for shots, and he doesn't mind taking shots. And I think that Caleb Plant style of counterpunching, and I've also seen him fight off the ropes and spin out and things like this. These are all very important things that I was looking for when you're watching Caleb Plant's old fights back. So ultimately, guys, in my opinion, I think that the skill set that Caleb has in this fight is going to be enough to defeat Jose Uzacategui, who is a hell of a fighter, extremely tough, and he brings a style, like I said, a bulldozer. So Caleb's got to be in his game the whole time. And if that conditioning is not up to 100% up to par, or if Caleb gets caught with his hands down with one of those right hands by Jose, he's in serious trouble. So that's what makes this fight so interesting. Both of these guys extremely skilled fighters. And also, I would say just kind of one other comment just to make on this video, guys, before I close it out, is a lot of people are saying, well, Caleb Plant won't win because he doesn't have the power. And yes, he's not a big power puncher in my opinion. However, his style is extremely frustrating to fight. Every single fighter I've seen him fight, every fighter has been frustrated by him. You look at Porky Medina, he was extremely frustrated in that fight. So even though his power is not terrific, his style is very frustrating to fight against, and guys get tired from missing so many shots against him. And that can frustrate a guy like Jose Uzacategui in this matchup. But it's going to be tough to say, guys. Jose Uzacategui is a monster. Nobody really wants to face this guy, honestly speaking. He's a killer in the ring. He's very tough. So cannot wait for the outcome of this fight. But I got Caleb Plant winning the decision in this matchup. Let me know what you guys think on the video. Ultimately, who you guys are picking in this fight. And I hope you guys enjoy that night of boxing on Fox. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.